News.
Now, let's talk how to get happy. My next guest and his wife start every year by writing the name of a person they most want out of their lives. They then throw the slip of paper onto a fire. Pretty brutal stuff, but it's one of his 52 tips at making ourselves happier. His new book, The Art of the Good Life, maps out tools to deal with failure at reaching long-term goals or coping with the red mist from queuing, tax or parking tickets. Well, I spoke to Rolf Dobelli a short while ago and asked him why he decided to write this book.
You know, the question of how to lead one's life, how to lead a good life, is a question that I couldn't imagine going through life without ever asking myself that question. So where do you turn for answers? You, of course, to philosophy, but you'll be in for a big surprise if you talk to any of the philosophy professors that we have in any university today. So you walk into the university in London or in Berlin or in Zurich, anywhere, and you ask, "Dear professor, how should I lead my life?" And this person will look at you totally confused because they're not used to these kind of questions. You know, they're used to answering question, what did Wittgenstein mean on page 367 on his dissertation? So I went back to look at the history of philosophy, and if you look at Greek and Roman philosophy, the question of how we should lead our lives was at the center of their philosophy. Of course, they also discussed other stuff, but that was the core, and there are a lot of great answers that we can use in the 21st century.
Let's get to some of your tips straight away, because one of my favorites was the 5-second rule. Explain that to our viewers.
Okay, so I wrote on the Art of the Good Life. I have 52 of those little rules, and that's probably the most simple. And that's an idea I have from Charlie Munger, you know, the great investor Charlie Munger. How often do you say yes to you know, little requests, and then you say, I shouldn't have said yes because I can't really fulfill it. You regret it. And I realized that I overcommit myself way too often in my life, and then I have to make up excuses. You know, I'm basically cheating myself, I'm cheating the other person, and that's not a good way of operating. So I discovered the 5-second no from Charlie Munger, and that is, you give 5 seconds and then you give an answer. So you don't let the people hanging, but the standard answer is always no. And I thought, you know, originally yes is a good word because I want to be loved, but it's the no. In 99% of the cases, you just say no.
And it gives your brain a chance. I'm a real victim of that, so that's one I've lodged away. I cannot believe that story I mentioned in the introduction, you and your wife putting a name, throwing it into the fire. I mean, surely you exaggerate. You don't do that.
And it's not just one name. You know, it's sometimes 2 or 3 names of toxic people you don't want to have in your lives anymore. You know, and then you think you should still keep up a relationship or a friendship, but if people are toxic, you need to you know, get them out of your life. So on the 31st of December every year, we write those names down and we put it in a fire. And then they're forgotten.
And
it's a little ritual.
Through with it, do you? When they phone you up for dinner,
say thanks.
You do the 5-second rule?
Yeah, exactly. Then I say no thanks, because it's liberating to, you know, to get all the toxic stuff out of your life.
Now, tell me a little more about the chapters. You mentioned the chapters 52. I mean, you've got some fantastic names of the chapters. Making friends with weirdos, the opinion volcano. Why did you choose 52 things?
Well, it's a newspaper column that was running in Germany and Switzerland. So it's a weekly column. It's 52 weeks, therefore we have 52 chapters. Clearly there are more than 52 you know, good mental tools that we can use, but I picked 52. I might write another book.
I loved your take on losing your wallet. I mean, how crucial is positive thinking in all of this?
You know, the good life has a lot to do how we interpret the world and ourselves. So sometimes it's just a matter of interpretation. So let's say you're in a poor country and you lose your wallet, and you'll find it again after a few hours. The cash is gone, your ID and stuff is back in there, but the cash is done. Now you can get furious at this situation, or you can say, look, this is just a donation to people who are probably worse off than you are. And by interpreting this situation, you're much happier.
So you twisted in your head. Other things that I mentioned in the introduction, failure. Spreadsheets or life goals, the red mist of tax, parking tickets. I mean, what are the ways around that?
Okay, I hated paying for parking tickets.
Everyone does.
Everyone does. So I park my car, and 30 seconds later I have a parking ticket. In Switzerland it's about 30 pounds. I don't know how much it is in other countries, but 30 pounds, it really aggravated me. My wife and I have a different solution, and it's called mental accounting. So at the beginning of each year, we dedicate a certain sum that goes for charity at the end of the year. So many, Swiss francs go for charity, minus all the parking tickets. So if we get a parking ticket right now, we're totally relaxed. The charity will get 30 pounds less. The 30 pounds go to the government. It's also kind of a good cause, so everybody's happy.
Good idea. Now, I read one tip from a British actress who said that she doesn't allow herself to go home any day before she's done 3 nice things for someone. Now, I tried that. That is much more difficult than you would anticipate. And I was thinking the same thing when I read your book. A lot of these things easy to read, but actually harder to do regularly.
Absolutely, and that's why it helps if you have these snappy titles like the 5-second no. It really helps to keep them in your brain, and that's why I picked really snappy titles. And plus, nobody's going to be perfect. I'm not perfect on these things. But the more you apply these tricks, these 52 tricks, the better you get with the year. So it's really a matter of applying them, and then you'll get better and better.
And of the 52, your favourite one, if I had to make you choose one?
It's probably to be humble, to not have a big ego. If you walk around in the world and you have a big ego, you're going to be devastated left and right because you're going to be disappointed. If you're humble, and even if you're successful and you remain humble, it's a very good strategy to have a good life.
And is that the strategy around, I talked about failure earlier, to understand that actually inevitably there will be failures and actually inevitably things also change?
There will be failure in your life. Life is tough as it is. But we need to recognize that the role of randomness, of chance, of luck is huge in life. So if you are successful, pride is the wrong emotion to have because the component of luck is so big. It's better to be humble and to be modest, and that's a great life strategy.
A terrible voice in my ear earlier said to me, has he or his wife ever considered putting their spouse's name on that piece of paper before chucking it into the fire? They're terrible, aren't they?
Terrible.
I see you haven't actually said yes or no. You're using the 5-second rule.
It would never happen.
Rolf, thanks so much for coming in and talking to us.
Me.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, that was Rolf Dobelli talking to me. Great advice. Now, sending me your tips on being happy. I'm at Anne-Marie Waller at BBC. We're going to take a short break. We're back with all the top stories here in just a moment or two. Don't go away.